Hello, I'm Douglas Truth, and this is Art Talk. And today we have the pleasure of having MaryJane
Huenergardt
in to do some art talking and painting and drawing with us today. So this is our second show. So we're dipping our toes into the water of talking about art and doing art at the same time, which I have found, by the way, in the past to be quite difficult. I could do painting or I could talk, but hardly ever both. So we'll just do our best today. So, MaryJane, thank you for coming in today very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'll do my best as well. It's hard.
That's all we can do. So,
yeah.
MaryJane is using some acrylics today, and she's got some really interesting colors to start with, just to keep things serious and realistic. And I've got a big piece of paper that I'm drawing on with some markers. Now, one of my art slogans is I never met a color I didn't like. And so I can really test that today with about 300 colors here. So we're going to get started just doing some artwork. And I've got a few questions about art. And so MaryJane came up with a list of things that she was really interested in having to do with painting. And I think they're a great choice. Authenticity. Inspiration. The importance of art. Colors and metaphors. I'm really weak on that myself. Time. Do you have time to do art? Big question for a lot of people. So I'm going to put you on the spot just to talk about authenticity. What does that mean to you? And you can keep painting.
Okay, I can keep painting? Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
keep your hands moving.
Okay,
Yeah.
so authenticity, that's a great question. So it's being yourself, even when you're doing art. You can kind of be inspired by others, but I find that when you encounter a canvas or whatever you're going to be doing art on, and you have a subject matter that you'd like to pursue, it's really tempting to want to be very accurate about it. But I think it's really the job of a person who's creative to bring themselves into it in a way that nobody else does. And what does that mean to them? Who are they, and what do they want to put on that canvas that says what that subject matter means to them, and how are they going to express that? Is it the color? Is it twisting the form around a little bit? Is it moving the shapes around? Is it completely just going off the rails? Who are you, and what are you gonna do with that subject matter, or lack of? Are you just gonna not have a subject matter? Are you gonna paint your emotions? That's super important too. To be able to relate to people and tell them what's on the inside, and not even paint a thing. So that is my loosey-goosey answer.
Cool, well, that's a good one.
Okay.
What it makes me think of immediately is the idea that, well, in America at least, I'm not sure about so many other countries, but people are really terrified of doing art. They're afraid of doing something wrong. And it's because they've got what you just talked about completely backwards. They think to do art, they've got to be doing something that's the way somebody else sees it, or the way somebody else wants to see it, or the way that it really is, instead of just going with how they actually see it themselves.
Yeah.
And also, just as to add on to that, part of the thing with art is that the disappointment. You got to work through the disappointment of not getting what you think you want to see, and just keep doing it. Now, that's another subject entirely, probably.
That's part of the process, isn't it?
Right. Making mistakes and living with it.
Yeah.
But even, because I use the word mistakes, right? And it's kind of like that's a taboo almost.
Oh yeah, I know. There's this wonderful book that I got my kids when they were younger, called Beautiful Oops.
Whoa, that's perfect.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the book introduces mistakes. You have a picture of a mistake, and then you lift a tab or do an overlay, and it shows that oops, that mistake being turned into something really beautiful or cool or it's just unique.
And that's how the light comes in, or something like that. That's what it reminds me of, is a song.
Yeah, that's right. I know which song you're talking about. I think, but Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
But what's also, so my kids are 14 and 12 now, and when they make a mistake, they say, oh, I made a beautiful oops. And then they kind of, when they say that, they kind of have a vision about how they're going to, I don't want to say fix, but how they're going to use that oops.
To get closer to what they want.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to say too that it's like we're not at all saying that, at least I don't think we are, that you got to find your authenticity in order to paint. It's kind of like, it's almost the opposite. In the process of painting, it could be a help to finding the real you, finding an authentic self.
Oh yeah, that's a huge thing. I'm as an adult, I'm not very far, I don't think, into my painting journey. But I found one of the things that held me back from restarting painting as an adult is, how am I gonna, why should I paint? Why should I do this that so many other people have done in such a beautiful way? Because what does my voice matter really in painting? And I don't really have a voice. So yeah, through the process of painting, I've discovered that, oh hey, look, by doing it enough times, you do find that voice, and it's really rewarding. And then you don't really think about it really when you come to your canvas. It just sort of happens.
Well, in my opinion, thinking is the worst thing to bring to the canvas.
Oh yeah, I like that.
It's because that's where the criticism comes from. I think is thinking.
Yeah.
It's kind of Picasso, I think, said something about we all just want to paint like children, and I think what he meant was
I love that
just freedom, just to put your hand on the cave wall.
Yeah, he really was very free with his forms too. And what's kind of cool is that he found this authenticity with them, right? Some things of Picasso, but how? I don't know why. It was his special way of twisting a figure. Yeah. Or even just drawing a line.
Or the way the bicycle seat and the handlebars that he puts on the wall and it's a bull's head.
Oh, I haven't seen that. No.
He just put these two things on the wall in a certain way, and it's like, oh. You've never seen it that way before.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, that's great.
All right. How about, this is one I don't know anything about, colors and metaphors. So tell what does that mean to you in terms of painting and art and all that?
Let me think about a way to explain what I mean.
Gonna...
I think it's just what we've been talking about really, is finding when you're doing art, letting it kind of spill over into other areas of your life as a metaphor, as a way of finding your authenticity in other areas too, and kind of realizing the carryover and realizing that the creative expression.
Do you have an example of that by any chance?
Let's see. Let me think about while I paint. This is where thinking and painting is difficult. So like parenting. So I have 3 kids, like I mentioned, and I've found that since painting and since kind of finding the zen and the creative process of painting so rewarding and making it a practice, that I can find that zen also in my parenting, and I don't really it's like I have to kind of trust that I'm doing a quote good job, and trust myself a little bit more, trust that my partner and I are bringing ourselves into our parenting in a way that is beneficial for our kids, because we are, we're good people and we're modeling being good people for our kids. And just like, when you paint, you have to trust that you have that training as an artist in color or whatever, and just let it manifest itself on the canvas how it will. you have that training in form and perspective. Perspective is a great metaphor because, you train yourself to have perspective as an artist, but you also train yourself to have perspective as a human when you're trying to get through a hard time. You've trained yourself in that and seeing ways that it's going to be okay, And just like when you train yourself in art, you know that when you make a beautiful oops, it's going to be okay, and you have to kind of trust that process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So I think the example for me of the same kind of thing as you're talking about came up with, I'd run out of canvases and I'd find one that I didn't really like that much, and I would gesso over it.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it felt, sometimes it felt okay, and sometimes I felt really guilty about it.
Yeah.
And then I did some studio shows. People come to my studios and they see all these canvases leaning up against the wall, and there's 2 or 3 there that I just think are terrible, and I'm going to paint them over. And somebody else comes and says, geez, those are my favorite paintings here. Can I buy them? And it's
wow.
So it's like, stop judging my own work. Just do it. Just do it and get rid of it. But I don't need to judge each painting. Is it good or bad? And I think we ought not to do that with people either. So that's is that a metaphor? Am I using the word right? Or
Sure.
Is it close enough?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. But, just not judging things as to whether they're right or wrong or good or bad. It is what it is, and just move on to the next one.
Yeah, I love that, yeah.
Well, I think we've been covering the importance of art anyway, with every word we've said, because it means a lot.
Yeah, and I think too, when you stop doing art for a while and you go back into it, it's really hard to justify prioritizing art over other things, because life seems so, the administrative aspects of life seem so important, and the working in other ways, and serving the community, it just seems so important, and it's really hard to really come back to the importance of art.
Well, and that's one of the notes here, and I've got I said importance of art versus productivity.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what we're all encouraged to do, right?
That's so true, yeah.
We got to make something that's, solid, we can sell it, because that, I used to really paint for money more than I do now. Okay, I got to paint something I can sell.
Okay.
And I would hear myself thinking that. I really kind of had to think it too, but it also was a way of killing creativity. So it's really a tough spot to be in, be selling for money. But you couldn't forget what the real importance of it was.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Or you shouldn't. I mean, it's easy to forget, but
it's hard.
One ought not to.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I can imagine, I actually, I have sold work, but I don't paint for money yet. I'd love to, but I don't yet. But I could imagine finding something that is popular and something that sells and keeping on that track.
It's the most humiliating thing ever.
Yeah.
So I paint a painting of a Nevada street over in Nevada City, and it just comes out really, really, really good.
Cool.
People want to buy it, so if people do buy it, and I got to paint more like that. And every single one was totally humiliating. It was just like somebody that didn't know how to paint was trying to copy my work.
Oh, interesting.
And so I learned a lot about the intent. Like if I just want to paint, but if I've got to produce, I've got to make this painting to sell. It killed whatever was inside where the art came from.
Yeah, that's an interesting quandary.
There's a lot of reason not to quit your day job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's your work coming?
Well, I don't know. I may share it with people, just to say that there's no reason to be humiliated no matter what you do.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar, and I'm not like a marker user.
Oh, I'm really inspired by your collection.
Which
really your marker collection.
Well, I'm very proud of it.
It's pretty neat.
It's taken me years to collect this thing. All right. Time.
Oh yeah, that's a
Time.
big one, isn't it?
Yeah. Time. I don't know about you, but I got to be in the right mood to paint.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can make myself. I don't know which artist it was. A famous California artist said, "Inspiration is for amateurs." Because if you wait around to be inspired, you might not do anything. So he says, in the meantime, just keep working.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good, but it's also, you can't also just insist that inspiration show up either. It's a delicate matter.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have the luxury though of being able to just wait for inspiration
There you go,
or whatever.
right?
Yeah, it's a
right.
luxury. There are times I've kind of blocked out for myself during the day and during the week where I got to paint, otherwise I'm not going to be able to because I got to take the kids places and I do work, so, and I have standing meetings that I need to attend, and they need to happen. So I have to hold myself to the appointments to paint.
Well,
And, yeah.
ultimate respect for you guys, because I've never had that situation. I mean, I've been under financial pressure to work and stuff, but I mean, one of my dearest friends, it's like Saturday morning is her only time to paint.
Okay.
Only time, and it's like so precious. It's just like everything for a week long goes into that, from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock on Saturday to paint.
And she can just turn it on.
She gets amazing results because of the discipline.
That's great. Yeah. That's what you need to do when you have a busy schedule. And and sometimes it's hard because like I was mentioning the administrative aspects of life, the keeping up on your accounting and making sure that all your numbers are in order. And the kids' numbers are in order, and making sure that they're all registered for their upcoming camps and activities. Respect coming from me for that. And so when your painting time hits and that stuff's not happening, that stuff that's kind of at the top of your to-do list hasn't happened yet, it's really hard to paint anyway.
Right.
I'm still working on that.
There's something else we've probably covered it, but there's a great musician named Sun Ra. He was a jazz musician born in the early part of the 20th century, I think. Died in the 90s, but he said creativity was the real prayer.
Oh, yeah.
And so to me, that, I don't always have that in mind, but it's a nice thing to keep in mind for when I'm working, is that what also reminds me, Julie Taymor is a set designer for Lion King and many other things. And she said there's always two audiences. The audience is sitting in the seat and God.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so I think with painting, there's always that involved too. And not just the work, but the work, not just the product, but the work that goes into it. Product is kind of almost beside the point in that sense.
Yeah.
So
that's
I
true.
think we've worked through a lot of our time and our questions.
Okay. Shoot.
Do you have any thoughts or like a wrapping up thought?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to accept. I'm not close to being done with my painting. I picked something really simple.
We should have the timer, ticking in the background.
Yes, we should, and hopefully it's even recognizable. I'm not even sure. But I'll put in some quick highlights so maybe you can see what it is. But it's from a recent trip. And so, something else that I've never really thought that I'd be into, but I really, really am, is painting from photographs. I've always kind of looked down on it, to be honest with you. Like I was like, oh yeah, painting from life's great, and I would do plein air, and all that, and I was really not great at it, but thought that was definitely the way to go, and I had to be good at it. And I've been doing plein air and going out with some friends, which is super fun. It's a great way to connect with people and also to be in nature. But it's kind of my plein air. I'm getting better at it, got to tell you. But it's hard to get something at the end of that plein air session that's any good, yet. I mean, like I said, I'm getting a little bit better, but I take a photograph of the light the way that I liked it, and go back and paint on it, and it's much better.
I do that all the time. Not so much for the detail of the photograph, but just like helps me remember something about a scene that inspired me.
Yeah.
Like the front of a house in certain sunlight.
Yeah.
And I don't try to paint it exactly usually because I can't, but.
Yeah. I gotta say that, but painting from photographs is where it's at, because it's everything. The light doesn't change. You can kind of work it a little bit.
You can work at home. That's the main thing for me.
Yeah.
Work at home.
Yeah, that is important. But yeah, let's see. What else can I say about art? It's been, we have such a cool community of artists here, and it's been really inspiring, especially to see what people do with the Sierra. I feel like it's almost like we have people live here and they're like artists in residence, because an artist in residency program is to kind of
the whole town.
Cast new light, and to cast new light on a subject matter or a place. And the whole town is like artists in residence for this place.
Very much so. I agree.
Beautiful.
This is a very special place.
Yeah. And I've learned a lot from local artists. And I attend painting classes when I can. Aside from doing sessions with a local figure drawing group, I attend painting classes at As If. With Eileen Blodgett and Denise Way, and they're wonderful teachers. They're very nurturing, and they share their knowledge and of subjects that interest me. The Yuba River and flowers. So it's been fun to be with them, and that what's a great thing about taking painting classes just as a lifelong thing is that it makes you sit down and paint for however long the class is. It's a great excuse to paint.
Right, locks you in. Yeah, I do that for different reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very, very much. It's been really a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, everybody, this is the end of Art Talk number 2 with MaryJane
Huenergardt.
Thank you. We're a team in that regard. And thank you very much for watching and listening, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks again. I'm Douglas Struve.